County Commission meeting. I'm going to ask Chief Deputy John Smith to call the meeting to order. If you would, please remain standing for the pledge led by Commissioner Rashida Leverett and our invocation by our chaplain, Commissioner Joe Creek.
All rise. Oh yes, its Honorable Board of County Commission now stands in session pursuant to adjournment. May God save this state and its Honorable Board of County Commissioners.
Let's say our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. We thank you, dear God, for your many blessings of the day. We thank you for this legislative body and their willingness to serve. We thank you for our county employees and the reputation that they've made. We're very blessed to have the leadership and our county employees. Now, as we go through our meeting, if there be things that we disagree on, let us respect one another on their views. It says in the Bible in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and do not lean on your own understandings, but in all ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. Amen.
Amen. Ms. Jackson, would you please read the roll?
You have 20 present and 1 absent.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a few proclamations and some presentations to give out tonight. And if I could get Miss Kelly Jackson. Kelly, if you'd come over here, and I know you've got some folks with you, and I just want to invite them over here as well. So y'all all got to get up in front of everybody. First of all, let me say good evening, ladies. Thank y'all for coming out tonight, and thank you for what you do for Montgomery County. And just as a small token of our gratitude, I'd like to read this proclamation to you. Whereas April is recognized as National Donate Life Month and is a time to highlight and educate the need for individuals to register as organ and tissue donors on their state organ and tissue registry. And whereas currently more than 113,000 people in the U.S. are waiting for life-saving organ transplant, 3,000 of those people are in the state of Tennessee. And whereas county clerks across Tennessee were challenged to show their support for the organ and tissue donor registry, and Montgomery County participated in the National Donate Life Blue and Green Day, with this year's theme being Life is a Beautiful Ride. And whereas thinking outside the box with incredible decorations and a display featuring original artwork, in addition to the increased efforts to collect donations, the Montgomery County Clerk's Office was awarded the 2019 Tennessee statewide winner of National Donate Life Month Blue and Green Day. And whereas our local county clerk's office collects over $15,000 annually from the generous citizens of Montgomery County for this life-saving program. And whereas County Clerk Kelly Jackson stated her office was honored to participate in this important initiative and to accept the statewide award this year. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, on this 10th day of June 2019, do hereby express our thanks and sincere appreciation to the Montgomery County Clerk's Office for their commitment and service to the citizens of our great community and helping to support the organ and tissue donor registry. Lady, thank you so much.
Of people, so we have to get organized.
Okay, so we're going to take a picture real quick. Is this the artwork?
These are some of the artwork. Why don't y'all some of the artwork? So those that are really blessed to be towards that. Please, sir. And I will be brief, but I do want to thank Mayor Durrett for giving us that proclamation today. I also want to thank my employees. They are so diligent at asking for donations from the citizens of Montgomery County. We had a special day that day where all efforts are ramped up. We do decorations in the office, try to increase awareness and increase donations. I do want to recognize at least 3 of my employees that were on the design team for that day is Kim Carmack, Britt Sager, and Brenda Frost. They did a... We feel very honored to win this award for the state, but honestly, we feel most honored that we're able to collect donations on behalf of organ donor awareness. We hope you participate in the future by either becoming a donor or donating to the campaign through our office or any other means. There are several means to donate. It is a very worthy cause and something that I hope you will participate in. This is one of those issues that most people do not stop and think about until there is something critical that happens in their life. Either they have organ donor failure or organ failure, or they have an accident that causes one of their family members to also have an organ failure, or, you know, it could be life-changing, it could be life-saving measures that have to be taken. We did this drive that day, and something special happened. A lady came through our drive-through during our donation collections, and she said, "Thank y'all so much for taking the donations. You really don't know how that's touched people." And she said, "I happen to be the very close family member to the family of Jonathan Atkins. And I know you've probably heard that story. It was a tragic accident where Jonathan Atkins was 15 and he lost his life in April on an ATV accident." She told us, and to be honest with you, I had a little trouble getting my employees to be able to wait on customers because they had tears in their eyes listening to her talk about that story. I reached out to the family just to ask them if it was okay if I talked about that story tonight, and they asked if they could come. Jonathan had lots of friends. He was a freshman at Montgomery Central, and all accolades that you can imagine were said about Jonathan. He was a kind and caring young man. Jonathan died on April the 23rd, and even though they're in pain, and that's a tragic, tragic accident, that family stepped forward and decided to donate his organs. They already know that there was a 15-year-old child that received his heart. They also know that he was able to successfully donate a liver, a kidney, and a pancreas. So I would just like to say thank you to that family for being such a giving family. Montgomery County appreciates it, and I'd like for them to stand and let me introduce them. We have Jonathan's mother, Erica Bowles. We have stepfather, Danny Bowles. We have grandmother, Cheryl Hoff. We have another grandmother, Anna Shelby, and we have Shelby Atkins' sister, and we have his best friend, Carson Farrell. Carson, would you like to stand? Would you like to stand? So thank you all again, and thank you, Mayor and Commission, for allowing that proclamation.
Thank you, Kelly, and special thanks to the Atkins family. If I could have Miss Martha Hendricks come forward. Good evening, Martha. Martha, I have a proclamation I'd like to present to you whereas Martha Hendricks, as library director, supports the rights of all community members to use library meeting spaces regardless of their beliefs or affiliations. Whereas the Clarksville-Montgomery County Library Meeting Room Policy includes a portion of the American Library Association's Library Bill of Rights, which states, libraries that make exhibit spaces and meeting rooms available to the public they serve should make such facilities available on an equitable basis, regardless of the beliefs or affiliations of individuals or groups requesting their use. And whereas the Bill of Rights also includes granting a group a meeting room space does not constitute endorsement of the group or their beliefs by the library. And whereas because Martha navigated a situation that occurred in August by upholding the library meeting room policy, she was awarded the Tennessee Library Association's Intellectual Freedom Award on April 25, 2019 at their yearly conference in Chattanooga. Whereas the TLA Intellectual Freedom Award is a yearly award that recognizes the contribution of an individual or group who has actively promoted intellectual freedom in Tennessee. And whereas we are proud to have a leader like Martha Hendricks, who is dedicated to inclusion, equality, and intellectual freedom. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, on this 10th day of June, 2019, do hereby express our thanks and sincere appreciation to Martha Hendricks for her commitment and service to all citizens of our great community. Martha, congratulations. I don't have my agenda in front of me, but I think I'm supposed to stay down here. Oh, okay. EMS, where's Bill? Come on down. No, I'm good now, I think. Maybe I need it. Bill, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you and Mr. Proctor, and we'll just go from there. I know you have some presentations that you want to present, so ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bill Webb.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. So if it's okay with everyone, I'd like to have the EMS crews line up in front of the stage over here. So we've got several staff members that we'd like to recognize over calls they've made over the past year, just going above and beyond the call of duty. Crew members, I'm going to call your name and ask you to step forward, and I'm just going to read a brief synopsis of your certificate that you're going to receive. Paramedic Candace Silver and AMT Jonathan Wall, if you'll please step forward. In June of last year, these two crew members responded to a residence that a female was 39 weeks gestation and in active labor. They initiated patient care, began transport to the hospital. Upon entering the facility, delivery became imminent. Paramedic Silver and AMT Wall delivered a healthy 7-pound, 6-ounce baby girl prior to making it to labor and delivery department. Paramedic Danielle Henderfine, AMT Jada Smith, Lieutenant Danny Cotterell. If you'll step forward, please. March of this year, these crew members responded to a residence for a female that was 38 weeks gestation. Her water had broken, contractions were less than a minute apart. While assessing the patient and preparing to move her onto the stretcher, it was obvious that delivery was imminent. With just a matter of minutes, these three crew members delivered a healthy 5-pound, 8-ounce baby girl. Paramedic Michael Collins, AMT Joseph Farley. Will you step forward, please? May of this year, these crew members responded to a residence where a female was in labor. Contractions were about 2 minutes apart. Upon arriving on the scene, with just a matter of minutes, the patient's water broke. Again, delivery was imminent. These two individuals delivered a healthy baby boy, 6 pounds and 3 ounces. Paramedic Kevin Hoffman, Paramedic Russell Merritt, AMT Allison Miller, and AMT Amy Gann. If you'll step forward, please. These crew members and Lieutenant Elliott, I'm sorry there, Carlos. These crew members responded to a motor vehicle accident. Upon their arrival, they found the patient to be in an extremely critical condition. Due to the extensive trauma, the patient's airway was compromised. A critical decision was made to perform a surgical airway to enhance the patient's respiratory status. So we'd like to commend these folks on a job well done in a very stressful situation. Paramedic Russell Merritt and AMT Allison Miller, if you'll remain standing, please. These crew members responded to a scene for a female that delivered her baby in her car on the way to the hospital. Upon their arrival, quick assessment revealed that the infant was unresponsive, not breathing, did not have a pulse. They initiated CPR. Within a few minutes, the infant began to breathe and move on his own. So we'd like to recommend these crew members for a job well done. Deanna Valarezo, if you'll step forward, please. So Deanna is what we call a new paramedic. She went through the Volunteer State Community College. It's a little over a year program. Tuition's roughly $10,000. And we've started this tuition assistant. It was started about 2 years ago. And I'd like to thank Commissioner Gannon for sort of spearheading this for us and backing us 100% with this. Since it started, we've been able to give out about $25,000 to the staff members in tuition assistance. So tuition's $10,000, and we present them with a check for $5,000. And it's not on the docket or on the list, but there's somebody I'd like to thank. I don't have a certificate for him, but I guess you could call him a right-hand man, Chief Chris Proctor.
All right, Chris.
Now he not only goes above and beyond, but gives 110% all the time. And he is, when I say he's my right-hand man, that's the truth. Great friend, couldn't do this without him. I greatly appreciate it. And it's an honor to work with these young men and women. It's truly a blessing. I mean, they do an excellent job, and they serve Montgomery County very proudly. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill and Chris, I think, and to all the folks who received the awards tonight, I think I can speak on behalf of the whole commission. We are just greatly, greatly appreciative of the job that y'all do each and every day, so thank y'all. At this time, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Miss Kimberly Wiggins, our trustee. Oh, there you are.
And then there's the tax collector. What a lineup. Good evening. I am updating you. This is our third report from the trustee's office in regards to our hotel motel occupancy tax. And so this is the first time I've presented in front of such a large crowd. So I asked the mayor to get a little bit of leeway so I can make sure we're all on the same page with the commissioners. The purpose of us collecting the hotel motel occupancy tax, of course, is a mandate, but the other piece that's most important is the fact that we will audit the, our statute says we will, we shall, and we have been auditing our hotels and motels. So for the second quarter, the charge that we had was to audit 11 hotels. And just to make sure, I wanted to make sure we're on the same page. When you look at January to December, our collection was $2.6 million. So it gives us a scope of what we're looking for when we audit our hotels on a 12-month period. We had 2 reportable findings and 6 educational moments, which means there were a few mistakes and we just helped them to understand how to correct. Should we find any errors, we do have a process of how we notify the hotels and motels, and they've been thus far very swift to respond and repair any errors or fix them. Some of the documents that we review include worksheets, registration records. We've had people fly in from Chicago or St. Louis, from Atlanta, and so they take this very seriously, the time that they spend with us. And we look at everything from room rentals, renovations, and franchise statements. This gives you a recap like we have in the past quarters, where we look at who did we review and what were the findings. So when you look at the highlighted spaces, it shows that we had 2 reportable findings. Those numbers are not the actual numbers that they were off in what they owed us. But hotel that is coded MI had taken a deduction twice, so they had an underpayment of $85. Hotel EIS had a variance of $116. Again, it was about that 30-day occupancy, because we do have some hotels where people actually live there and they stay there for more than 30 days, so we have to monitor that. That error caused a $99.48 underpayment. So those have now been rectified, and those funds will come in the month of June, so they will be made whole. We had 3 immaterial findings, and we call them immaterial because when you think about a $2.6 million collection and we looked at a 12-month period, those 3 hotels totaled $25.19. Upon the conclusion of all of our audits, when I work with Sydney and Thomas, we sit down and we ask ourselves, were the occupancy tax returns and revenues, were the numbers rented, were the exemptions and the claims accurate and complete? And the answer for this quarter is generally yes. The returns were materially valid, one underpaid by $209, one collecting $184.55 by month end, leaving us $25 with an omission being made, which is less than 9.5 thousandths of the $2.6 million that we collected in a 12-month audit period. So on to our newest venture that we've been working on. As you know, we have vendors. Some of them are called Airbnb, some are called VRBO. There may be other companies, so we just want to call them, for the sake of this, our host sites. And what we found is we do have some hosts in the county, and it is our responsibility to seek out and dutifully collect from those vendors. Our goal is to rectify it and make sure that we're appropriately accounting for the taxes that are due. So this did take a significant amount of work. However, it's important to us and it's important to our county. When we looked at Airbnb, we found about 290 hosts, 98 of them being active. We looked at a few that were, the rental rates were about $1,000, so we knew that was probably Eclipse. And then the average rate was $107 a month. And in VRBO, we found about 46, 5 of them being active. There is a way to find that out. And 2 unique being with the solar eclipse, and their average rate was $267. So what we did was we went to our county attorney, Mr. Harvey, and we looked at, here's what we found, what's our next step, and to make sure we were in compliance when you looked at the statute of our hotel motel statute. And we are in compliance. We also worked with our county clerk because some of these entities may need to reach out to receive a business license. And furthermore, with our assessor of property, they may land on her desk because they might need to talk to her about tangible personal property. That's not my lane, but I did a good job, I think, of coordinating. We need to all be on the same page. So the letters went out last week. We found 65 of those 98. We found those owners, we think. We sent the letters out to them, letting them know that we would like to have them in compliance. As you all know, when they report on a monthly basis in June, the hotel motels will be reporting their May income. So we've asked for compliance. As of today, we've received several phone calls asking how do we become compliant, how do we complete the form, and even a few who said we haven't had any rentals. We have a process for them as well on some affidavits, but only 2 of those have said that they didn't have any rentals. This is just a sample of the letter that we sent out to them. So in our coordination agreement, I talked about who we connected with and who we also pointed them to because, again, they may need to consult with the county clerk, the assessor, and even the state in regards to their business. I've shared that we found 65% of them. We've asked them to comply this month. And we also have our process built out. So at the first week of July, we will be consulting back with our county attorney should we not have compliance. We're working on that letter so that we can stay diligent and let this not be something that falls by the wayside. And we will report those findings, whether it's significant income, not significant income, or even the standing of our Airbnbs or our host vendors. Also, this will require that we actually keep our eyes open every month to see who the new hosts are and the ones who may drop off, but we will manage that with due diligence. So our continuum and our commitment to you is to make sure we continue to collect dutifully and on time. We will continue to schedule our audits. We did complete the ones that we committed to. We will continue to assess our internal capacity. We appreciate the part-timer that you gave us because she has paid in dividends the work she's done for us doing ad hoc work such as this. And then we will explore the cost to make sure we're considering that and being diligent with the funds. Thank you for your time and attention. Do you have any thoughts, questions, or concerns for me?
Any questions for Ms. Wiggins? Commissioner Knight?
Ms. Wiggins, thank you for providing such a detailed report. I really appreciate that. So of those funds from the Airbnb and the VRBO, are those getting collected retroactively from the time that they initiated their business, or is it from that direct time on that they received that particular memo?
That's a great question. My initial goal is to get them to a place of compliance. However, we have had those conversations today, and I've asked that they bring in all of their documentation from when they started their business, and we will help them. So because this is new for them, there won't be any interest if they come in now, and we will help them to get the paperwork together to help them get up on the right track where they need to be. But the goal is for compliance, not to penalize anyone, because this is new to our host, and we want them to continue to do business, and we want to help them get it all together.
Ms. Wiggins, I just want to thank you for your due diligence in addressing this matter. I feel confident now that our hotel, motel, and host venues are well covered as far as their tax representation is. And I thank you very much for coming in, hitting the ground running, and getting things in order.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Wiggins, thank you so much. Great job. We appreciate you. All right, Commissioners, now into our agenda. Our first item of business is our approval of our May 13, 2019 minutes. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Knight, second. Commissioner Leverett. Any discussion? If you would, please register your vote. Commissioner Harper? Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 20 yeses, 0 nos, 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. Under zoning, we have two zoning cases. Our first one is CZ 6, 2019, application of Brandy Jackson from AG to AGC. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Beal, second. Commissioner Gannon. Any discussion on CZ 6, 2019? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 20 yeses, 0 nos, 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. CZ3 2019, application of Clarksville Montgomery County Industrial Development Board, Knox and Shirley Thomas from AG to M2. This was deferred from our April meeting. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Gannon, second. Commissioner Butts, any discussion? Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, you would think that 2 months would be more than enough time. There are commissioners who have stated from the floor that they feel that a property owner should be able to do whatever they want to with their property. Well, I'd submit that if that were the case, then there would be no need for us to listen to zoning requests. It would simply go through the Planning Commission and it would never lie before us. We are here to make the tough decisions. That's our job. This is the part where I make an impassioned plea to vote for this or vote against it. I'm sorry, but that's not what's going to happen. What you're going to get is an abridged version of the story of how we got here. The tough part about this is that essentially you have both sides that are trying to do the right thing. There's no bad guy in this. The IDB, EDC, Mr. Truitt, and Mr. Tate, even up until the beginning of this meeting, have been trying to find a way to make this appeasable, to try to find a happy medium between the Knox family, the IDB, and for the residents of Mint Springs. We have had a community meeting. We have had different proposals and ideas, some of which included the idea that any future land use would come before this body for approval. It was even put to, once we found out we couldn't do that, it was put to the idea that a separate resolution would be entered at a later date that would ensure that this body would approve of future land use. After consulting with the attorney, Mr. Harvey, during the meeting, I have found out that that is not possible either. So what we have is a group of residents that are very concerned about what may be coming in next door to them, and they are absolutely correct in being concerned. They are absolutely correct in being afraid. They are absolutely correct in having real trouble with going along with this idea. But on the other hand, we also have the people from the IDB and the EDC that are doing everything that they could possibly imagine to try to make this work. Do I feel that this is a heartfelt and real, genuine effort by the IDB and the EDC to come to some type of compromise? Yes, I do. I stated at the community meeting, I stated from this floor, and I say it now, that I would stand with the people of Mint Springs They were in agreement with the last proposal, which was of a separate resolution to come later, but we have now found out that that is not possible. So I must defer to their original idea that they are against this rezoning. As I said, I believe that both sides are trying to do the right thing, and that is why I say we must make the hard decisions. Each commissioner must vote their conscience on this. But as for me, I stand with the people of Mint Springs. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Any other discussion on CZ3 2019? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 15 yeses, 5 noes, and 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Johnson, I don't know if this provides any relief, but as an ex officio member of the Industrial Development Board, I will request that they pass a resolution requiring, if the Industrial Development Board is involved in anything on that property, any development of it, that they require themselves to come before this body to get it approved. I don't know if that's any consolation, but I can assure you that resolution will be before them at their next meeting. All right, on to our resolutions. Resolution 1961 is a resolution approving amendments to the 2018-19 CMCSS school budget. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Pritchard, second. Commissioner Hodges. Any discussion? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 20 yeses, 0 noes, 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. Resolution 1962 is a resolution to appropriate funding for the purchase of art using funding from bond proceeds. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Albert, second. Commissioner Joe Smith. Any discussion on 1962? Commissioner Knight.
Mayor, I just wanted to ask a question. I know it's a 1% bond that goes towards public art, but how much is it that's going to be going towards that particular artwork?
I think on this particular one, it should be in the resolution. I believe it's $35,000. It's $35,000.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on 1962? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 20 yeses, 0 noes, 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. 1963, a resolution to allocate reserve fund monies for the Clarksville-Montgomery County Tourism Commission. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Knight, second. Commissioner Ray, any discussion on 1963? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 19 yeses, 1 no, 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. Resolution 1964 is a resolution to amend the budgets of various funds for fiscal year 2019 in certain areas of revenue and expenditures. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Pritchard, second. Commissioner Gannon, any discussion? Commissioner Gannon.
Thank you, Mayor. On your desk, you have a sheet of paper for an amendment to, I'd like to offer up an amendment to Resolution 19-6-4. Do I need to read this whole sheet of paper, or can I enter it in as what's entered in here?
Do y'all have it?
Yes,
Are
sir.
you okay with it being entered this way?
We have
Ms.
it.
Jackson?
Okay.
Yeah, all commissioners have this? Any objection to not reading the whole thing? I promise you, you wouldn't get through all them numbers without making a mistake. So, Commissioner Gannon, I'm sorry, the floor is still yours.
So I'd like to offer that as an amendment.
So there is an amendment to 1964. That amendment is spelled out to you in front of you. Mr. Taylor, I know this was explained at informal and at the Budget Committee. Is there anything you want to add to any of this?
There was one addition to it as well on the Trustees Commission, just due to higher than anticipated revenues. We had to increase the Trustees Commission for Fund 131, 151, and 171, which we were able to move money under Fund 151 to cover that.
Okay. Any questions on the amendment?
We need a second, don't we?
Second.
Oh, is there a second? Commissioner Keene? I'm sorry, thank you. Any questions on the amendment? Okay, so we're now voting on the amendment to 1964. If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 20 yeses, 0 noes, and 0 abstentions.
And now voting on 1964 as amended. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Gannon. Second, Commissioner Beal. Any discussion on Resolution 1964 as amended? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 20 yeses, 0 noes, 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioners, under new business, we have 2 resolutions under new business, and I would like to entertain a motion to suspend our rules to hear these 2. Commissioner Beals made the motion, second Commissioner Bryant. Do we need to vote on that?
To suspend the rules, yes,
Okay.
but you can do them together.
Okay, so Kelly, if you're okay, we're going to vote on to suspend the rules on 1965 and 1966.
Yes.
Any discussion on suspending the rules? If you would, please register your vote. Does anyone want to change their vote? You sure? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 20 yeses, 0 noes, 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. Resolution 1965 is a resolution to accept grant funding for the Montgomery County Animal Control through Bissell Pet Foundation. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Beal, second Commissioner Pritchard. Any discussion on 1965? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 20 yeses, 0 noes, 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. 1966, resolution accepting the Public Improvements Program and Capital Budget 2019 through 2020 through 2023-24 compiled by the Montgomery County and approved by the Clarksville-Montgomery County Regional Planning Commission. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Lewis, second. Commissioner Rasnick. Any discussion on 1966? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 19 yeses, 1 no, 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioners, you'll see on your agenda under unfinished business, Resolution 1934. There's not any action to be taken on that. We just want to show it to you on your agenda, and the full Regional Planning Commission report is in your Dropbox. So if you can't find it, if you'll let us know, we'll get you that full report. But this has been on our agenda. We needed to leave it as unfinished business. We've all heard the report, so this matter will not be on our agenda next month. Under reports, you'll see the county clerk's report. This will require commission approval. Ms. Jackson, would you please read the clerk's report?
Comes Kelly A. Jackson, County Clerk, Montgomery County, Tennessee, and presents the County Clerk's report for the month of May 2019. I hereby request that the persons named on the list of new applicants to the office of Notary Public be elected. The oaths of the deputy county officials and sheriff's deputies are approved as taken. This report shall be spread upon the minutes of the Board of County Commissioners. You received the list of notaries last week. You do not have any that are signed by personal surety, and there are no names that need to be read into the minutes for bond purposes.
Is there a motion approval for the clerk's report? Commissioner Creek, second. Commissioner Ray, any discussion? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have we have 20 yeses, 0 nos, and 0 abstentions. I was trying to add another commissioner in there, I think.
All right. Commissioners, you'll see under your reports file, the ones in bold are the new reports that were submitted after our informal meeting. I'll now turn the floor over to the chairman of the nominating committee, Commissioner Gannon.
Thank you, Mayor. The nominating committee met last week on June the 3rd and would like to enter the following in as nominations. On Economic and Community Development Board, which is a 4-year term, Gayla Gold Levan was nominated to replace Mark Kelly for a 4-year term to expire June 30th of 2023. I'm going to combine Industrial Development Board and Health, Education, and Housing Facility Board together because they're identical in their replacements, and both are a 6-year term. Don Jenkins is nominated to replace Joyce Norris for a 6-year term to expire June 30th of 2025. Todd Harvey is nominated to replace David Smithfield for a 6-year term to expire June 3rd, 2025. And Jeff Turner, who is filling an unexpired term of Tim Hall, is now eligible to serve his first 6-year term to expire June 30th, 2025. I would like to enter all those in as a motion.
We have a motion for approval for the nominating committee nominations, which is the Economic and Community Development Board, the Industrial Development Board, and the Health, Education, and Housing Facility Board. Is there a second? Commissioner Ray, any discussion? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 20 yeses, 0 nos, and 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Gannon. Under county mayor nominations, without objection, we have 2 Parks Committee and Judicial Commissioners, and without objection, we'll vote on those in one vote. Under Parks Committee, a 2-year term, Joe Mills is nominated to replace John Gannon for a 2-year term to expire June 2021. Alan Groves nominated to replace Grant Shaw for a 2-year term to expire June 2021. And Commissioner Tangi Smith has been filling in the unexpired term and nominated to serve a 2-year term to expire June 2021. And under Judicial Commissioners, a 1-year term, Michael Williams is nominated to serve a 1-year term to expire June 2020. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Gannon, second. Commissioner Smith. Joe, any discussion? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 20 yeses, 0 nos, 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. Under county mayor appointments, just as a matter of record, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, this is a joint appointment with the city mayor. Jenna Holloman's reappointed to serve another 3-year term expiring of 2022. In June, Jerry Albert reappointed to serve another 3-year term expiring June 2022. Joel Wallace is appointed to replace Steve Stroman to serve a 3-year term to expire June 2022. And Brittany Campbell is appointed to fill the unexpired term of Bill Powers with term to expire June of 2020. Those are all the nominations and appointments. Commissioners, under announcements. And first of all, let me apologize. We've rescheduled the budget roundtable for commissioners, and that meeting is now scheduled for Thursday, June 27th at 5:30 in the commission chambers. And unfortunately, we have gone back and forth with the state. We still do not have a certified tax rate. We hope to have that by maybe Tuesday, tomorrow, but with all the deadlines we have for putting our notice in the paper and everything, it was my intention, because I believe government should govern, and I believe we should pass a budget before we start a new fiscal year. Unfortunately, my hard-headedness has failed, and so our budget public hearing will be on Monday, July the 1st at 5 o'clock in the large conference room. That's prior to our informal session, and then we will vote on the budget, I believe it's July the 8th, in our formal setting. And also, just a reminder, if you have suggested items for the 2020 legislative agenda, please email them to Michelle. Michelle, I don't know if you've received any yet. She's received 3, so if you have any items you'd like to be considered for that agenda, please submit those. And with no further business, I'm going to call on Chief Deputy John Smith to adjourn us.
All rise. Oh, yes, this Honorable Board of County Commissioners now stands adjourned. May God save the state and its Honorable Board of County Commissioners.